Oh, I thought that was to me. Hey, everybody. Woo, we have been had a lot of tech issues. Like the last half hour has just been solving tech issues. So both Mr. Escobar and I are a little like on edge because we really haven't had this the whole way through. Sorry, we're a couple of minutes late, but welcome to our final session. I can't believe we are already here at the end. I'm Susan Barber from Grady High School in Atlanta, Georgia. Shout out to my kids. I love those kids, and am proud to represent my school through this. I also want to give a couple of other shout outs to Gavitt High School in Hammond, Indiana. Thank y'all for watching. They contacted me on Twitter. Also to Miss Morrissey Burke's class in Reading, Pennsylvania at Catholic High School. She sent us a poem. Did you see that yesterday, Mr. Escobar? That was awesome. Love it, love it. And finally, from my home state, Sweet Home, Alabama, Scottsboro High School, Miss Esslinger's class. They have been watching, so shout out to you. Now, we're going to have some different people wishing y'all luck today, but the first person, actually, he's not a person who's going to wish you luck, I think, is my dog. Let's see. We have to bribe him and say, do you want a treat? And if I say that, wait, you got to wish my kids luck, Bear. You want something? Okay. He's not playing along. He just wants the treat without talking. I'm so disappointed in him. He slept through class and then he's not performing on the last day. So, Mr. Escobar, how are you?
I'm doing great, as I always say.
You're okay.
And I'm just thinking about the fact that it is our last day, and it's a celebration, right? It's not time to be sad. It's not time to be upset. It's a celebration because we're about to take that exam and show what we got, and that is so important. I am, for the last time, coming to you. This is Mr. Escobar from Felix Varela Senior High School, all the way in Miami, Florida, into your living rooms. We had a great day yesterday. We had inaugural presidential poet, Mr. Richard Blanco, with us, and when he stopped talking to you all, he stayed and he spoke with us for a little bit longer, and he said that he had a final message that he wished that he could have told all of you. And the message is, he says, you got to trust yourself. You've put in all the hard work. You've already done everything that you needed to do to be prepared. And now it's just a matter of trusting that what you got is enough, because you will do great. So Mr. Blanco wanted to make sure that we send that love out to all of you, and that reassurance that you will be doing great. But we got to get to work, because 2 days ago you did write an essay, and you sat here faithfully for 45 minutes, and then we asked you to upload for the final 5 minutes. And I've actually received a couple of emails asking for samples. This prompt is a little more elusive, I think, to find than most.
And
And
actually, let me say, I am going to post some samples today that I have had about 3 different readers score, and actually someone who read for this when it was on the AP exam in the secret room. So this prompt is posted in AP Classroom, and we used it because it was a little more modern. But as soon as we go off air today, I'm going to post 2 student samples and post what we scored them. Again, this is not official College Board scoring, but what we have scored them with some commentary. So I think that will help you. That will go into the Google file. But yes, this is a little bit of a different prompt. Did you want to say anything else, Mr. Escobar, before I interrupted you?
no, not at all. I think that I'm expecting our students to perform really, really well. I think that what they have to do now is just take everything that we've talked about and maybe pick up one tip from each of the videos. And as long as they execute that, there shouldn't be a problem. And pay attention to what we're going to say now about the samples, because it might solidify some of your ideas moving forward.
Yeah, so in this first student sample, I wanted to post this thesis because we have gotten a lot of questions about do you list, can you list devices in the thesis statement? And I think we talked about this briefly in our thesis lesson, but there's no, it's not a yes or no answer. You can if you want to, but you don't have to either. But I think a lot of the examples that we have showed, they address the prompt and they don't, they address the prompt as a whole, but they don't necessarily list out devices. So I wanted to show you an example of a thesis statement that does do that. In the excerpt, a moon tiger lively explores family dynamics through three characters, a mother and her two kids, by using intense animalistic diction, which I love that, contrasting viewpoints and varying pace, lively dramatizes the chaotic and hostile relationship of the characters, and it becomes apparent that despite the fact that they feel they are all knowing, they are bound by the bond of family and their actions are still primal in nature. Now, this this does answer the prompt and it does list devices. What this student does when they are listing the devices here is they go ahead and they describe the devices. So again, we're having insight here. They're making, this is a defensible thesis. They're making a defensible claim. They don't just say by using diction, point of view, and narrative pace, but they go ahead and identify it up front by using intense animalistic diction, which I think is just such interesting insight into this passage, the contrasting viewpoints and the varying pace. So yes, they are listing devices, but they are really um, being specific about those devices and their role in this passage. Mr. Escobar, do you have anything else you want to say about this thesis? And then I'll talk about the body paragraph.
No, I think you nailed it. That's exactly. I just got off a Zoom meeting with my students not too long ago, and we were talking about that. We were talking about devices in the introduction, devices in the thesis, the yays and nays. And what I said was, if it's going to help you organize your thoughts and organize your ideas, then go ahead and do it. But if you're going to do it, say something about them, right?
Right.
Don't leave them. We always talk about don't leave them naked. Don't leave them without some sort of adjective qualifying, and that's exactly what this student does with the intense animalistic diction and the contrasting viewpoints. And that's the idea, maximize. We talked already about how earning that 1 point in the first row is relatively simple. It's low hanging fruit there, but if you can maximize the launching pad into that second row, then you're playing it really smart, I think.
And so then we look at this body paragraph from this sample, and this is a sample that I will post for y'all in the file. Hunting for fossils is to us humans evidence of our advancement beyond other animals. Our superior intellect allows for us to understand nature far beyond our own lifespan. So again, starting with this insight um, into the passage, and then the student um, goes, so the what and now the how. Well, how is the author communicating that insight? It's through vivid, powerful language. And then the student just gives lots of examples here. These 2 and 3 word quotes are embedded throughout the analysis. Um, just such a great paragraph. And this paragraph um, just, would earn that student, if the rest of the essay follows suit with this, would definitely put the student in the 4 range on row B, because it is just very thorough, lots of good analysis supported with evidence. So just
Ms. Barber, and something that Dr. Miller said, I think it merits repeating. Oh, a lot. Everything he
right.
said merits repeating. But it came up also with my students, which is if we come down here to where it says Claudia scrambles through plants, hurls herself up and over the rocks and shrieks when she faces retaliation from Gordon. There's no commentary right after that.
Mm-hmm.
He thrashes as she tries to pass and snarls, and that's okay. I was trying to explain to my students that every time you have, especially when it's a word or two, you don't necessarily have to have commentary after every single piece of quotation. Sometimes you're building towards something, and it might take a sentence or two to really establish the claim and provide some of the key pieces of evidence. Again, when you're not writing complete quotations, right? Complete sentences, as long as once that unit of claim and evidence is done, then you follow up with commentary. That's when you're you're doing the smart thing again at that
Right. And
point.
that's exactly what this student is doing, because this student is showing Claudia scrambles and hurls and shrieks, and then he
He
thrashes.
thrashes.
Yes, and snarls. So they're showcasing the evidence there, and then all of these words are loaded with a primal competitive
And that opening
sentiment.
right there is line of reasoning.
Hmm.
All of these words, guiding, holding my hand, all these pieces of evidence I've given you in the last two or three sentences are doing something. It's just it's really smart manipulation there of their writing.
And then the yet, so now we're gonna, show a little different
Complexity.
something, right? Yet her clutching hands still beg for the help of her brother. So they're competitive, but yet, so, oh, just so much here. So let's look at another sample. And I will post this one too. And this one we scored a 1 and a 3, because you can see from the body paragraphs, they have insight, they have evidence, but the commentary is not as strong. In this excerpt from Moon Tiger, Penelope Lively utilizes different literary devices to demonstrate Claudia's independence, Gordon's loneliness, and their mother's longing for time to rest. Her implementation of a variety of devices dramatizes the complexity of the family dynamic. Claudia is strong and independent. So this insight here. She doesn't ask her brother to move out of the way. She tells him, mind you, she's determined. Her dialogue is short. I'm jumping ahead, and authoritative, showing her strength and independence. However, hidden within each line is a respect and admiration for her brother. But, there's not evidence built in to that, or a specific place. Um, so this is really good. And actually, when I looked at this, I was like 3, 4, 3, 4. I could, I might even put this in the 4, but I think as the essay, and you'll see in the sample, as the essay goes on, it all of the paragraphs are just not as developed as much. So
You know what is
again,
great? It moves away from plot, right? It's not plot. It's using the plot, but it's saying something about it. Claudia is strong and independent. Then you get a second sentence there that might be plotish, but it's only to set up the next statement. She's determined, right? Her dialogue is short and authoritative, showing the strength and independence she possesses. It's really insightful. The student is constantly exploring this character.
Yeah, and so maybe this is a 4. We don't have these scored on the new rubrics, and as readers are awaiting training on
Oh,
this. But
and we would
I
have to
do
read the whole
know,
essay, right?
right, but I do know we will give you the benefit of the doubt as a
Mhm,
reader,
mhm.
for sure. So yeah, this just does a lot. It does a lot of good things. It is more compact. Um, but yes, not as much summary, but really great analysis. One more thing I want to show you, because I keep getting this question over and over. What about conclusions? I've gotten lots of emails about conclusions. So I wanted to show you an example. This is the thesis. This is actually an exercise that I did in my class with students a while ago. And the reason these words are highlighted is I have students write like their thesis statement or, couple of statements, and then they have to um, highlight all of their verbs, and then they have to trade those verbs for stronger verbs, because my students tend to use a lot of the to be verbs, but I really want them to use strong verbs. So this is a student who has reworked their thesis and changed out their verbs. Brothers and sisters often maintain tumultuous relationships, often positioning the parents in the middle. Penelope Lively demonstrates just a relationship in her novel, Moon Tiger. The passage depicts a brother and a sister as they scour for fossils while their mother waits nearby. Throughout the excerpt, Lively uses literary devices to highlight the competitive relationship between Gordon and Claudia and the removed caring of the mother towards her children. So students are always asking, what do I do? I don't want to repeat the thesis at the end. So how do I wrap up an essay? Or what if I'm running out of time? I have 5 minutes left, but I'm about out of time and I need to, conclude it. So one of the go-tos that I use in my personal writing and like for my students to use is to just look at where the excerpt ends and then make a comment on that that ties it back to your thesis. So when we look at the last two sentences, the mother, head aches. She tries to quell the children and respond with advice and sympathy. She blames the perilous world, so unreliable, so malevolent, and the intransigence of her offspring whose emotions seem the loudest sound on the beach. So those are the very last two sentences of this excerpt. So can I make a statement that connects this back to my thesis and maybe even adds a little bit of insight? Or why would the passage in here? So maybe, the conclusion would be, ironically, the mother, like Gordon and Claudia, pointing fingers at each other, blames the world and its unreliable and malevolent nature for her offspring, which that's such an interesting word that she uses, offspring instead of children, instead of taking personal responsibility for them. So that's just a way of not saying something fresh at the end, but you're not repeating something you've already said. So I think that is a good strategy for ending an essay. It's not the only one, but it is one that I think is easy to employ when you're writing.
Students also have to remember that it's a draft, right? Which
It's
is
a
what, again,
draft.
Dr. Miller said. So let's not focus too much on, I need to end this brilliantly and I need to, no, just wrap it up, because especially, we have to talk test prep. It's test prep week and it's the
Right,
final day. I know how important this examination is. It was for me when I was a student. I needed college credit.
right,
My parents didn't have money for all these courses in college, and the bulk of the points are earned in the body. I mean, let's call
right,
it like it is, right? So just come to an end, come to a conclusion, but don't worry over the next 5 6 days, however days we have left, too much on the conclusion. Focus more
right.
on nailing that thesis, making sure the thesis is a great launching pad to develop depth and tons of commentary in your body, and you should be in good shape, I think, at that point. Time management, Miss Barber. This
Yeah,
is
we just wanted to give like a few just general reminders as we kind of wind down and think about, I mean, we're really done preparing at this point. So, time management. You need to take time to read and deconstruct the prompt. Do not skip over that. So, a minute to 2 minutes, think about the context of the information that you're given in the prompt. How does this set a purpose for reading. How does it give you background on your reading? What are your specific writing tasks? Go ahead and number those out. And then that will help you read with purpose. And then, we suggest taking 10 to 12 minutes. And of course, this is highly, it varies from individual to individual, but these first two, reading the prompt and reading the passage, so many people rush through this and you have more time than you think. And I get it. You're in a time setting, you want to jump into writing, but this background work, the work when it seems like I'm not writing, that's the thinking work. And so that work is going to make your writing much easier. So take 10 to 12 minutes, read the passage, reread the passage and take notes and outline your paper. Slow down on this. And then you'll have about 31 or 34 minutes to write and then 5 minutes to upload. So that's kind of a time suggestion that we recommend. But again, highly individualized. You know what works for you.
Yeah, I think this is great advice. And my takeaway is don't shortchange those first two steps, the prompt and the passage, because writing without a purpose is is not the goal. And,
Right.
and your purpose really comes across once you spend time with the prompt and as you develop your ideas about the passage. So you can't shortchange these first two steps. And in fact, they're going to speed up your writing afterwards. So listen to us. Listen to us. We're your teachers.
Yeah. And I would think that most teachers are going to say the same thing, because we all sit in class and we, pass out a prompt and students are writing like 60 seconds later. And it's like, how have you even had time to read this? So I
Yeah.
think most teachers are going to be with us on that. And now you get to your writing. So, you know, just the three things. Don't overcomplicate it. What do you notice? So think about, shifts, contrast, repetition, similarity, or whatever stands out to you. How is the author communicating this message? This is your evidence, and these are the literary devices and techniques that the author is using to bring this character, bring this story to life. And then why is it important? And that's your analysis or commentary. You're always wanting every words you put should in some way be answering the prompt, communicating a controlling or a central idea, connecting back to the thesis. And I still get lots of questions about sophistication. What words do I need to use for the sophistication point? Can you give me 5 transitions that I can include in my essay so I can pick up that sophistication point? My advice, I know Mr. Escobar's advice for sophistication is focus on row B, because once you really start exploring the complexities and really getting into the depth of that, when you do that really well, then you're positioned to pick up the sophistication point. So don't try to separate that out. It's not a throw in a few words here or one broader context idea at the end, but really focus on your argument throughout and the complexity involved throughout, then you're positioned to get that point. You have anything to add to that?
That was perfect. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, what I kept thinking about was if you're going for sophistication, go for sophistication of thought. If that earns
Exactly.
you the point afterwards, great. If not, well, you maximized on row B and you probably had a thesis. So congratulations. It sounds like college credit to me. It sounds like
Right.
a great achievement at that point.
Yep. And the sophisticated writers, a lot of, some of them who are going to pick up that fourth pathway to the point, like they just do that, you
Yeah, there's
know?
no intent to do that. That's just how they write.
So some other practical things. Oh my gosh, I loved what David Miller said when I asked him what students needed to be doing to prep for the exam. And he said, honestly, students need to sleep, because you can't go into this type of exam exhausted. Actually, I think that's just great advice for life. So get some rest before the exam. And usually, like if I'm taking a high stakes exam, or maybe I have a race coming up or whatever, my big thing is the 2 nights before is more important than the night before, because a lot of times the night before I might have nerves going on. So, starting tonight, starting tomorrow night, like, don't be up to 3. I'm gonna sound like your mother now because I have kids y'all's age. So don't be up playing video games until 3 in the morning. Get some sleep. Your brain needs it, and you'll be well rested for the exam. Also, sorry about going into mother mode there. Prepare your
Listen,
physical.
listen, listen to Miss Barber. I think it's very important to sleep.
Prepare your physical space. Go ahead and communicate with your family about testing. Make sure you have secure your device, meaning make sure that you know what device you're using, and that you have logged in and tried the uploads and everything syncs. Clean your desk. Um, yeah, clean your desk. Get your handouts, your pens, your paper, get all of that together before you take the exam. And this is what I'm telling my students: get out of bed. I don't want you taking your exam in bed. I want you like sitting up at a table. Y'all may not have to tell your students that, but yes, like get up and treat this like because you are right now, you are going to college and you're earning college credit. So get up, sit at a desk, and be ready for it. Finally, just prepare mentally. We often watch this TED talk about power poses. I think Amy Cuddy is her name. And my students, the morning before the exam, we all do a few power poses together, the Wonder Woman pose, just so that we feel confident. I loved what Richard Blanco said about you just got to let that fear go and lean into what you know. And y'all already know at this point. So I think doing some power poses is really good, taking a couple of deep breaths. And then the mother in me and the old person in me, if you want to listen to some music without words, but really just put your device and take out your ear plugs for a minute and let your brain think, think, just without any other noise in your ears on this passage and on your writing. That is my advice.
And I'm afraid that students are going to disregard this part of the preparation. But I think it's essential. I think if you were in my class, even just before you march down to testing, right? We're all gonna hug, we're gonna high five, we're gonna listen to music, we're gonna
Mhm.
flex, we're going to get
Mhm.
pumped up, and it's so important. We see it in the military, we see it in the football players. You anytime that you need to be alert and awake and the best version of yourself, there is this pumping up, but
Mhm.
there is this calming down too, right? I mean, you need the yin and the yang. What we don't want you to do is roll out of bed and say, "Oh my God, I gotta roll." And no, be deliberate about everything you do. Be deliberate about, how you go to bed, how you wake up, what you eat. Open your front door, breathe in some fresh
Mhm.
air, and then get ready. And look, all the skills that we've taught you go out the window if this part of the preparation is not taken care
Right.
of. You need to take care of yourself before you take this darn test. And all of this is more important than the test itself. And I sleep all the time, right, Miss Barber? Thank you for not calling me out.
I
I
was
thought
about
you
to call
would.
Mr. Escobar out, but I decided not to. But I
Thank
I
you.
am big. I am big on getting rest. Like when I have just tons and tons to do, like I close my computer and I sleep every night. But I honestly think that helps me be more efficient.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
Finally, this is a time for celebration. Um, I equate it to race day. Like if you ever run races or play big games, like you practice, and you're doing that like, um, all by yourself throughout the year, putting in the practice. But now it's like it's game day, like Mr. Escobar said. Like, this is the time your teachers are cheering you on, your family's cheering you on, your classmates. Like, we're all cheering for each other in this. So this is a time not to be nervous, but it's a time of celebration for you. You're celebrating the hard work that you have done all year. And the way you're going to celebrate that is you are going to write your heart out when that timer starts. Well, after you've deconstructed the prompt and read and taken notes, then you're going to write your heart out and you're going to show us what you know.
You're gonna do
And
great.
it's going to just be um, second nature to you
Yeah.
at this point. You have got this. So we're proud of you. And this is not tied, and I say we, like as a collective society of all teachers. I try not to speak for other people, but right now I'm speaking for
We're all in. Yeah,
all of the
absolutely.
AP
Yeah.
Lit teachers. What you do on exam day is not what makes us proud. It's what you've done up until now, and that you're
Yes.
showing up and that you are saying, in this crazy, crazy time, I have control over what I'm doing this, these 45, 50 minutes. And I'm choosing to show up and give my best. And that makes us so proud. So don't worry about disappointing your teachers. We love you. We are proud of you.
I couldn't have said it better myself. And this has been an amazing, amazing journey for all of us, and it's drawing to an end. I'm looking at the clock, and it's coming to an end. But remember these 5 things. Try the demo. You have to do the demo. Get your checklist in. You should have already confirmed your email address. I think the deadline for that was yesterday. Locate your e-tickets 48 hours ahead of time, and remember to check in about half an hour prior to exam time. We want to thank everyone who has come. We started with Debbie Kwan, the poet. Then we saw Dr. Miller join us. Richard Blanco was just extraordinary yesterday. We have another surprise, and comedian and actress Angela Johnson has some words for you. But we also want to thank the students, the teachers, the college board. You guys didn't cancel the examinations. You still gave my students a chance to earn college credit. You have no idea how important it is for my kids to earn that college credit before they enter the university. And of course, Miss Barber and I have to thank our families who have put up with our, I mean, this, I don't know if it comes across, but this consumes our days and our weekends. And of course, they have to shut down for 2 hours a day so that we can bring this to you. And I want to make sure, because we're going to move on to Angela Johnson, that I thank um, Miss Sullivan from Christopher High School in California, because she took it upon herself to contact her former student, Angela Johnson, and tell her, hey, there's these amazing kids all over the world, and can you say something for them? And before we hear from her, when I say all over the world, my daughter put this on our window. We're all in this together, and she put
Aw.
X's on the coronavirus, and it was her homage to the health workers and all that. And so we have stared at this every single day, and every time that I say it, she reminds me of her poster. We are all in this together.
Mhm.
It's not just us. Look at all these pins on these maps. These are all emails and tweets and Facebook posts, and I'm using, I think, the right verbiage here.
And I'm sure
Um,
we've missed some,
Missed
and we
some, and we
apologize.
apologize. Yes. And around the world, look at this. Miss Barber and I will never travel to all these places,
Mhm.
and yet we know we have a friend. We know we have a friend out there. We have heard from 43 states. We have heard from 20 countries. And at the end of the day, what we have learned is AP English Literature and Composition, we are together. And I use Google Translate, so I apologize if any of these things say the wrong thing, but I think they all say together, juntos, ensemble, and I won't pronounce any of the others. But
Ha.
thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, Miss Barber is quite a phenomenon. I think she's up to Justin Bieber, Taylor Swift levels on. So let's show some love.
Yeah, so if you need to get in touch with me, these are ways that you can do that. Again, I will post samples up in the Google file about half an hour after we get off today. These samples, these are not official College Board samples, but like I said, I had 4 readers and we all looked at them. So we can give you some commentary on that. On aplithelp.com, let me say quickly that right now there's not activity on that, but as soon as the reading is over, we will have readers come in and share some things that they noticed about the reading, and then we'll pick back up through the summer, but taking a break for that. So I want to give a shout out.
I want to say, Ms. Barber, before you do that, I want to say that you are a gift. These sites, when I first started teaching, there was nothing. And the fact that there are beginning teachers out there who can benefit from the fact that you put your family aside, you put your students aside, you put yourself aside for a little bit at a time, every day, every week, to make sure that the community stays informed. I want to thank you on behalf of all of us, because I know how much that takes, and I know that it's something I don't do. After today, I'm returning to my cave, but hopefully I'll see you guys in APAC or somewhere, and we'll nod or give each other a hug, because we will hug again.
Yes, and I love serving the teacher community this way. So thank you to all of you. Shout out to Mr. Escobar, who before March 22nd, we did not know each other. We had never had a conversation, and now we've talked every day, multiple times a day.
Yes,
so I have thoroughly enjoyed working with him. My co-teacher, Bear, is back asleep. I've gotten tons of emails about him and to him, and he appreciates all of those. So it has been a true privilege. Thank y'all so much for letting us share in this time with you.
We truly have loved it. And let's see what other people have to say.
Hey y'all, this is Angela Johnson giving a shout out to all of the AP English students out there. Now listen, I was never in an AP English class. I was never in an AP anything class. I started my video with y'all. That's not a real word. It's a couple of words put together with an apostrophe. But I just want to say I feel for you guys. I see you. I know you have this big test coming up, but you can do it. You are smart. Way smarter than me. You are smart. You are prepared. You have been prepared for such a time as this. You can handle it. You can crush it and go do it. Go put those apostrophes where they go, and periods and semicolons. You can do it. Okay. Bye, guys.
Thank you to Ms. Johnson. She did not have to do that. And we're going to support her, and we're going to follow her comedy and her movies. And here's another video from all of us.
We are live.
So we're going to walk you through everything you need to know, and you're going to have it. And so, may the 4th be with you.
Continuiamo anche il nostro giro per l'Italia.
You Are a Local Lunatic shared this via Twitter. I'm really, really grateful for @JacobsPhysics and @Mr. JB Physics and just @College Board in general for doing so much for these AP exam reviews. I actually get stuff a lot more than I did before COVID happened, and I'm just really, really grateful for that. Smiley face.
All right, so we're talking about the overall big picture of period 4. Here are some things I just want you guys to remember.
KOA shared on TikTok, AP English Zoom streams are my only social interaction right now. #FYP, #isolation, #AP English.
They would send large ships of laborers just to collect the guano and get on the ship. Is collect the right word? Do you mine guano? Do you excavate it? I don't know what the verb is there. I'm supposed to be using.
And we're going to be focusing on tone. Specifically, how do you read and interpret tone
Karen Tabola Moore on Facebook shared, my students have enjoyed the AP Latin videos with Jeannie Luangu. Since I can only give a live Zoom class twice a week, this has been a great support.
Or I could say I want my lawyer and they have to get me my representation. But, and here's our but for today, that is going to sacrifice the abilities of the community.
Am I sharing the slideshow right now, by the way?
Nope. If you are, I can't see it.
Utkarsh Kali shared on Twitter, "Thank you for the helpful AP classes on YouTube. My preparation for AP Calc VC has become so much easier and efficient."
So I drew this like 4 o'clock this morning. So it's not beautiful, but I think it gets the point.
You turn over another card and they get compared and that person would win. Tell me if you do it differently, Mr. Schultz.
The more that you can find that connection within yourself, within the character, I feel like you write the character with a lot more depth.
Learning about the economy is important, and I wish more people did what you're doing.
My advice to all the students out there, whatever it is you choose to go into, make sure that it's a passion that burns in your belly.
I learned so much working in local government about public service. It teaches you that it's 24/7 and that you have to learn to listen.
I am someone who believes in following your passion, right, and working hard. And if you kind of find that there's something out there that you think is a need in the market and no one else is making it, then maybe you have to be a little bit creative.
11th grade US history is the reason we're talking, because I don't think I would have picked up Ron Chernow's biography of Alexander Hamilton if I hadn't written a paper on Alexander Hamilton in high school.
Asia K3 shared on Instagram, I'm so glad he came. He's the reason I was able to get more interested in US history, and I always listen to the Hamilton soundtrack when studying for English. Emoji.
We have a message here from Girleen from Instagram. She says, definitely worth waking up before noon.
And so you just connect your battery to your magnet like this, and then you get copper. Ta-da!
Look at that. That's amazing.
When are we ever going to need calculus? You'd be surprised. I mean, you might make videos and then calculate like the breaking pressure of Thanos' abdomen if Ant-Man were inside it.
This one hit close to home. This is very special for me. Mr. Walters teaches in Managua, Nicaragua, and that's where I was born. And I want to say hello to all the students out there.
Lyra Matt tweeted, "I watch every AP Lit video. They're so helpful, especially for students whose first language is not English. Ms. Barber and Mr. Carler's enthusiasm and passion inspired and encouraged me not to give up."
Miren, Julia de Burgos nace, es todo un mito en la littérature caribeña.
Pour souligner encore ce qu'on essaie de faire, on veut expliquer des idées et des opinions.
Mrs. Lowe shared on Twitter, these videos are excellent. They do a great job of reviewing mixed material with an awesome job of presenting new material.
好，下面是 cultural presentation。抱歉让大家坐着哈，但是这个很重要。
今日も一緒に日本語を頑張って勉強しましょうよ。はい、それで。
Chanel Kernander said on Twitter, "Love Mr. Escobar and Miss Barber's videos for my AP Lit students. You two are awesome. Tuning in live from Houston, Texas."
What'd you say for Dabo? Did you answer what that means?
Yeah, future. I will give.
Just as Gandalf parted ways with the hobbits before they undertook the scouring of the Shire, the time is almost here for Josh and me to sail into the West.
Thanks for showing up every day and reviewing the course with us. And remember, on the exam, sound like you've taken the course. Be specific and be scientific.
It's been a blast working with you all spring. And like I said, this chapter of your life isn't over. You now have a chance to rewrite.
Thank you so much for watching Mark and me for these last 30, I don't know, however many sessions we had. And if it weren't for you, we wouldn't have had these sessions.
Well, thanks for watching. And one final piece of advice. If the question seems really complicated, it's probably not.
Gracias por haberme acompañado durante estas semanas.
I just want to say thank you to all the amazing AP Statistics students out there that have been following along with us for the past 6 weeks.
Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it and hope these videos have helped.
Hearing from you and seeing the pictures that you've sent us of your pets, thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you to everyone for watching, for tuning in, for continuing your educations. Best of luck on your exams.
You've prepared, you're ready, do your best on this exam, and then congratulate yourself no matter what you get.
Optimum Fortunam Omnibus. Best of luck to everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to all of our AP Bio review lessons and our practice exam.
Bon courage, as we say en français.
Thank you so much for tuning in. Luke and I really had a super fun time, and we hope you learned a lot.
Thank you to all of the AP Chemistry students who watched the videos.
You're good enough, you're smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like you.
Thanks for tuning into all these videos. Music theory friends, don't forget to resolve your tendency tones.
You guys have got this. Remember, you are the solution.
Thank you so much for joining me the past month and a half. It's been such a journey and such a treat for me.
Hey, thanks for watching the last 6 weeks, especially the calculus crew.
You guys are awesome. You are excellent. You are brilliant. I really, really enjoyed our time together, and I know you guys are going to rock that exam next week.
Just remember that you have worked your butts off this year. Y'all are going to do great.
It is time for you to shine.
Type your response, copy it, paste it in the submission box. Good luck.
Hey, arigato. Thank you. Ganbatte kudasai. Remember to practice on the app that comes out next week.
Y'all are going to do great. And remember, geography is everywhere.
Okay, that was a lot. That was a lot of sentiment out there. I can't believe Koa made it. Just like I couldn't believe that I made it to your TikTok, Koa. Didn't even know what TikTok was. Okay, we're gonna play this last video because we have to make sure that you are prepared for exam day. So please listen carefully if you haven't watched this. If you have watched this, again, all of our love, guys. Goodbye.
Hi, my name is Dana Koppelman with the Advanced Placement Instruction Team. I'm joined by my colleague, Claire Lorenz, and we want to take just a few moments to walk you through the 5 steps you should take before exam day. Here you'll see the simple checklist of what you should do to be ready when your AP exam happens. Note that this is just an overview. We're going to dive more deeply into each of these steps in just a few moments. The first thing you'll want to do is review your contact information. If you aren't receiving emails from the AP program, don't worry. You can log into My AP to see the email address you used and to find details about your test. I'll talk about that more momentarily. Step 2, we want you to check your tech. We want to make sure that you choose and prepare the device and documents you are going to need for exam day. 3, we want to offer you the opportunity to practice submitting your response. Beginning May 4th, we now have an online AP exam demo that you can use to practice. For those taking world languages, the World Languages exam app will be available by the week of May 11th and will include a practice mode for you to use prior to taking your exams. Step 4, gather what you need for each exam. We'd like you to continue to consult cb.org/AP Exam Day docs so you can download, print, or gather the additional materials you'll need for your specific exams. And finally, we want to share the details of when you'll receive your exam confirmation and the e-tickets which will be required to take your online exam. Let's dive in. Step 1, if you haven't received an email update from the AP program, we encourage you to sign in to myap.collegeboard.org. Once in MyAP, confirm your email address by clicking your profile at the top right-hand corner. If you need to change your email address from what was initially submitted, click Update. Next, in the subscriptions, please confirm that you've checked the box to receive updates from College Board. And finally, create a new contact with the email address collegeboard@e.collegeboard.org in your address book or safe sender list. Again, don't worry. If you still can't get emails from AP, your e-ticket to get into your AP exam will also be posted in your MyAP account, and you can access it there all the way up until exam time. Step 2, let's talk about checking your tech and choosing the correct device. Now that you have the appropriate device, whether you've decided you want a laptop, a tablet, or your phone,
We want to make sure you know how to plan appropriately for your response. First, you will not need the lockdown browser on your device. Second, if you have the Grammarly plugin on your computer, you'll need to remove it to test. It's not that we're anti-grammar, because we're okay with that on the test. It's that this plugin won't allow your AP exam to happen digitally. So again, please make sure you remove the Grammarly plugin. For those taking world language, please make sure you have the specific device requirements that you'll learn through the app. When choosing between handwriting or typing, which you could do either on this exam, keep in mind the following. This year's questions won't require you to submit graphs or diagrams. You may be more comfortable handwriting responses in calculus, chemistry, and statistics, but if you want to type responses for those subjects or others, a guide for how to type symbols and formulas can be downloaded at cb.org/apexamdaydocs. In most other subjects, using a smartphone may require scrolling back and forth within a question. If possible, we recommend a desktop or a laptop. That's not required, but if possible, you can use it. Now I want to walk through the two options you have once you've chosen your device, either typing or handwriting your response. First, let's talk about if you're choosing to type. It's important to note that you'll create your response in a document of your choice, and then you'll either copy and paste that document or attach and submit your response within the online AP exam. In terms of typing, you should decide whether you're going to use Google Docs, Microsoft Word, Notes, or another application. We recommend you turn on autosave so that no work gets lost during the exam window. If you're using a cloud document like Google Docs and want to attach your document rather than copy and paste, please remember you need to download that response, save it to your device, and then you'll need to upload it for the online AP exam. To get yourself ready for test day, prepare your documents by typing your AP ID and initials at the top and then saving it in a clearly labeled folder on your desktop. If you're an AP English or an AP History course, you'll just need to create one document per exam. For all other AP exams that have 2 questions this year, you'll need to create and then save 2 documents per exam. So as you'll see on the screen, the examples are AP Biology Question 1 and AP Biology Question 2. If you're choosing to handwrite your exam, we recommend you use white paper, either lined or unlined. If you're a music theory student, there's a special answer sheet that you will find on the cb.org website. Please use paper that's standard size or as close to it as possible. Use a number 2 pencil or a pen with black or blue ink. Because the maximum number of pages you can attach per question is 5, at most you'll only need 5 pages if you're in AP English, Lit, or Lang, or any of the AP Histories, and 10 pages for all other exams with 2 questions. It's highly unlikely you'll need to use this many pages because most often your answers can occur in just 1 to 2 pages. Before test day, you should also prepare your pages by writing your AP ID, your initials, and a page number at the top of each page as the example below shows. Step 3, let's talk about the AP 2020 exam demo. As of May 4th, you can access the AP 2020 exam demo at cb.org/apdemo. This demo will allow you to practice the different ways to submit your responses. If you can't connect to this demo from your planned testing device, that means you won't be able to access the real exam on test day. Make sure to update your browser online in this particular slide deck. You can find that on slide 51, and then try it again. The one browser we know that will not work is Internet Explorer, so please make sure you're not using Internet Explorer for your AP exam. If you still can't access the demo, ask for your AP coordinator's help to contact your school's tech experts for assistance. Please note that you can do the practice demo as many times as you want to make yourselves as comfortable as possible for exam day. For our world language students, beginning the week of May 11th, if you're taking world language exams, you can download the AP World Language Exam app. Before that exam, you can use the practice mode to become familiar with the features as well. I'm now going to turn it over to my colleague, Claire, who will walk you through the remaining 2 steps to prepare for the AP exams. Claire?
Thanks, Dana. So we're going to pick up with step 4, which will tell you a little bit more about what you need on exam day. So you may be wondering what particular required items you might need for specific exams. All of the information you are going to see on the next few slides can be found at cb.org/apexamdaydocs. Not only is the list of what is required or permitted listed for all subjects there, but links to some of the permitted or required paper resources are there as well. Don't worry if you don't have a printer at home. If you do and you'd like to print copies of some of the required documents, you are able to do that. Also, you can just download those to your device. I'm going to start by looking at what is required for all courses except for those with portfolio components such as CSP or Capstone. Most courses will need the required items that are listed in the top row of this slide. So you'll need to have, before you test, your exam e-ticket email, a completed exam day checklist including your AP ID. We'll go through what the checklist looks like a little bit later. Your device, your laptop, tablet, smartphone, your browser, Chrome, which is recommended, Firefox, Safari, or Edge. Remember that Internet Explorer is not permitted. It's not compatible with our AP exams. An internet or cellular connection, and any assistive technology and devices that might be required if you are approved to test with accommodations. If you are choosing to type your response, you'll need access to either Microsoft Word, Google Docs, Notes, or another application where you can enter and save text. You are also permitted to have your class notes or any study guides you have made, textbooks and other classroom resources, or any previous assignments or assessments that you've completed in your AP course. What you will see over the course of the next few slides are specific required elements for particular tests. If you don't see your course listed here, just know that the only required items will be what's listed in the top row of this previous slide. So you'll see here there are specific requirements for macro and microeconomics, for our calculus A, B, BC, computer science A, and statistics courses. Just another reminder here that where you're seeing reference to a formula sheet or a constant sheet, you can find those on cb.org/AP exam day docs, and there will be copies of those there for you to either print or download. So even if you had access to these during your class while you were still in school and you want a fresh copy, you'll be able to download those or print them from our website. Then another reminder for our world language and culture courses, you will see here that you will need an iOS or Android smartphone or tablet with our world language exam app installed. That will become available the week of May 11th. And then there will be additional items that you will need in order to record your audio responses. So just a couple of notes here about optional resources. You can use your class resources and class notes on this year's AP exam. So any of the following can be used whether you have them in digital format or you have printed copies. Your class notes or study guides, textbooks or other classroom resources, any previous assignments or assessments you may have completed, a calculator for certain exams, and you can see that reference on the previous slide. So just rewind if you need to. And you should note here that shared study notes must be downloaded to each student's device to prevent collaboration violations. So in other words, you don't want to be using study notes from a social media site or another shared site where there's collaboration features. You need to have those downloaded to your device to avoid being flagged for a violation. We often get asked, like, can I use the internet during the exam? And so we just want to remind you here that internet searches can often just waste your time that you have to write your full response and can put you at risk of an exam violation. The more time you spend searching the web, the less time you will be able to have to actually type or handwrite your exam response. And any internet-based facts, research, and opinions typically typically aren't relevant to the AP exam and won't necessarily raise your score on the exam. And a reminder here that copying from any website, social media, or online forums is considered plagiarism. In other words, that work will be considered not your own, and that will be detected and your scores will be canceled should you find yourself in that position. So all of these tips are listed on cb.org/openbooktips in case you want to read more about them. Best practices about using your optional resources are available there. And just a reminder, these are all optional, they are not required. So now we'll move on to step 5, and step 5 is really the start of what you need to do in order to be able to get ready for your exam. You're going to be on the lookout for your exam confirmation and e-ticket emails. So on May 4th, you'll receive an exam confirmation email on May 4th with your AP ID and a list of the exams that you are registered for. So if you remember very early on, the first step was to confirm your email address. Dana talked about that. You want to make sure that you've done that so that you get this email on May 4th. In the meantime, while you're waiting for this email, you can check which exams you're registered for in My AP. If you are not listed as registered for an AP exam, you weren't part of the exam registrations we received from your school, and unfortunately it's too late to generate an e-ticket for you to test this year. Like we said, unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about this at this point, but you can take a CLEP exam for credit on college campus, or you can just choose to take an AP exam in May of 2021. So after that email that you receive on May 4th, 2 days before each exam, you'll receive an email with your personalized e-ticket and AP ID for that particular AP exam. Remember, you'll need to click that e-ticket containing your AP ID in order to access your exam. So it's really important for you to have confirmed your email address so that you get this communication from the College Board. And then finally, we've created a complete AP exam day checklist. The 5 prep steps we've just covered are listed on this checklist. You can either fill out the checklist, or you can take notes from this recording, or go to our website and jot down those steps that you need to take on a Post-it, on a piece of paper, and keep it next to you during the testing. We do have a full checklist that you can download at cb.org/AP checklist. You can print it if you have access to a printer. If you don't, that is okay. You can just copy down those items that you will need from that checklist and keep it next to you on your desk in your workspace for each exam that you'll take. The most important thing to fill in is your 8-character AP ID code, which is located on your e-ticket. You'll need this code to check into your exam 30 minutes before your local start time. So a quick reminder here that no matter what time you will be starting your exam, and you'll need to check that with the exam schedules, people will be testing at all different times, so you need to check what it should be for your time zone. You'll need to check in 30 minutes ahead of that time, and you'll need your AP ID code in order to follow the steps and verification processes during that 30 minutes. And that pretty much wraps up our 5 steps of what you need to do to prepare for AP exam day. This is Claire and Dana, and we are wishing you all the best on your AP exams this year. Thank you for tuning in.
And with that, we sign off, guys.